So hi, I'm Will Ritchie, and this is the Whiskey Jar. I opened the restaurant about 9 years ago, and we're still going strong in the downtown mall of Charlottesville. Whiskey Jar was a labor of love for me. It really came out of me. I wanted to express my family traditions in a restaurant setting. I was a restaurateur, worked at a lot of different places, but I really had not done anything that was, close to home. So my family's all from Virginia, North Carolina, and I have a very close-knit family. We do family reunions all the time, and there's always fantastic cooking. The older generations just line up these tables with delicious food, and I wanted to do a restaurant that featured that. So as I kind of followed that line of thought, I thought, well, I want to feature all the things I love about this area. And it's the music, the whiskey, and the food. Those are the three things that make Central Virginia really cool to me. So at the Whiskey Jar, we have a fantastic collection of bourbons and all sorts of whiskeys from all over the world. We have a stage where we do live music, and we do live music every night of the week. That's changed a little bit during COVID times, since we're not staying open late. But we are trying to do dinner music as often as we can with local musicians and music that's kind of regionally sourced. And yeah, we have, this is our bar side of the restaurant. Another thing that we really try to focus on here is working with local farmers to source our food, work with the community. We're very community focused. We want to help other small business people as much as we can, help musicians as much as we can, and we try to use as much Virginia product as we can. It's a Virginia restaurant. We want this to be a place where people from out of town, people from other states, from other countries, when I go to France, I want to eat French food. When I go to Italy, I want to eat Italian food. When people come to Central Virginia, I wanted a place that they could experience Virginian food. And my grandmother was a great cook, grew up in Virginia, and the food she made was the food I wanted to present. So that's what we're doing here at the Whiskey Jar.
So here's some of our house-made country-style bacon. So we make this in-house. What we're doing right now is we're going to start caramelizing that, cooking that off, and what we do with that is we then candy it with some sugar. The cool thing about our pork belly is it is house-made, but you're able to get a similar country-style bacon at the Rose Hill Market or Reeves, and they're both great, very similar style bacon that you can do the same thing with. Yeah. So once we candy that bacon, it's charred up enough, we'll add in the sugars, candy it. It's really nice. We let it sit in there. It'll start to melt into the belly itself, add a lot of that flavor. And we know it's very untraditional, but we do that because we find it makes the kids like it a lot more, makes it unique to us. Whiskey Jar thing, Wilson Ritchie, the owner, one of his old family recipes. It's something that the whole family can enjoy, not just the adults. A lot of collard greens only adults will eat, an older thing with the bitterness, but we found that the candied bacon really helps it out.
So how long have you been making this recipe?
9 years? 9 years.
9 years. So when you make this, normally how many people does it feed at a time?
So we make about 22 quarts at a time, and that gets us by for a day or two. How many people would you say this feeds, Doug?
I would imagine that would probably be 100 portions.
So now that all that fat's rendered out and whatnot, it's like bathing in its own fat, it's starting to get nice and crispy on the bottom. That's when we'll add the sugar to it, so it'll start to candy. Oh wait, onions. little bit, just a little translucency to them, because they will continue to cook as the collard greens cook as well. And it's really nice, those onions have like soaked up all that nice pork belly fat, just like nice all up in there. It's really nice. Just eat it just like that. Add the sugar, start the candying process. So the cool thing is that sugar will stir it in there, and it'll start to melt, and you actually see it as it's melting. We'll let that sit for a minute so it starts to melt and it'll recrystallize on the bacon itself. This is going to be the next step. So we get these in and we cut them in-house, and then we wash them very, very thoroughly. Wash them. The way they're grown, they get a lot of dirt and whatnot all over them. So get these in, we cut them down, wash them. Once that's candied, we'll start to add this. We throw in a little bit of vinegar. We do know it's very untraditional how we're doing it, but we do that on purpose because it is our style. And we found that it, like I said, it makes a lot of people who usually don't eat collard greens enjoy the collard greens.
So what kind of vinegar?
We do some white and some cider vinegar. Yep. So a little bit of both. A lot of people will add water. We find that once we rinse them, if we rinse them right and it kind of sits in a little bit of water, the water from those, the water in the collards themselves and the vinegar turns out to make the perfect amount of pot liquor at the bottom, which we're it's very important that we save that, so that way each plate we do fried chicken and collard greens gets a little bit of that pot liquor in the bottom of it, so it's got all that flavor soaked up in there.
So how much of the greens do you use? Because greens, I mean, what you look at in a bag when you buy them, when you start to cook down, they kind of disappear. So
yes, they do. A lot of the that liquid in them comes out, and all of those greens are going to cook down in this pot. When you're looking at it, you're like, how does that fit? Well, they probably lose about half of its volume on.
Yeah, I would say.
Yeah.
A lot of people pull the spine out of the leaf, but we leave the stem in. Yeah, I like the stems in, especially the style we do with the bacon and brown sugar. It gets into the stem, and it makes it kind of like a glazed carrot or something, like a candy vegetable. It's nice.
So you're using pork bacon?
Yeah, so this is about the cut. We do a nice big cut. It's a country style bacon. It's non-smoked. It's a simple brown, sugar, black pepper, salt cure. And we do a quick refrigerator cure to get that if we're not buying it from somewhere else. Some of the best country bacon you can get in town is at Rosehill Market over there. He's got you can see slabs of North Carolina bacon with a bandsaw on the back. And we started using that, but then we outgrew the volume that we could keep out. But yeah, we do a nice big cut. We use Papa Weaver Farm, so a local farm. We get whole pigs in. We barbecue almost everything, and then we save the bellies for bacon. And this is used almost exclusively for the collard greens. It's not a bacon you would really want for a sandwich, or it's not something you would eat. It's a great flavor, like a ham hock or something. It works great for the collard greens, but it's not something I would slice and just eat on a sandwich.
Right.
But we've just found that there's no other. It gives such a great flavor to the greens, and a better flavor, I think, than a smoky bacon or something like that. It's a very subtle, kind of country ham flavor.
Woo! What are we adding?
Some of the cider vinegar. So put that in there, and then we'll get the collard process starting where we're actually going to start putting the collard greens in.
That's White House cider too. That's the Virginia cider vinegar. It's a tradition.
So with these, we gradually add them. They do shrink down, so we'll add in enough to where we can comfortably stir them again, they'll start to cook down. As they start to slowly cook down, we gradually add the rest. Very important to give it that nice good stir. Get all that bacon and onions and candiness on the bottom up on the top so it cooks all the way through them. Oh, the bacon is so beautiful.
So normally it would take about 2 hours for this to cook down?
Yeah, probably about 2.5 hours. We cook them nice low and slow. Give them time for all those flavors to fully develop and whatnot in there. Yeah, and like I said, we'll gradually add the rest as the process continues. They do cook down, opens up a lot of room. We put in some more, stir them up. Yeah.
Salt and pepper, right?
Oh yeah, salt and pepper. And we do season it as we go. That way all the collagens that are in there taste it as we go. And the best way to be able to tell when they're done is pull one out with a nice thick stem and you're able to smush it. So a good way to know when it's done. You don't want to bite into a collard green with a strong stem. Yeah, I think our country style bacon definitely adds a lot of the flavor, which is awesome. And the fact that we candy it, it's just something I had never seen before I came here. And I was like, man, that is awesome, you know. And they are some of the first collard greens that I started to enjoy. I think because of that fat, absolutely. Collards down.
All right. Final product.
Our very wholesome, hearty, local collard greens.